The Buffalo Bills traded away wide receiver Stefon Diggs for some future draft pick that isn't going to help now. What does that mean in the AFC East, and what is the next move, and how can the Jets prevent it? We get into it here on Boy Green Daily.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Howdy diddly, everybody. My name's Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video program. Also available wherever you get your podcast, if that's where you prefer the audio-only version. Let's get right into it. Yesterday, the Buffalo Bills shocked the football world by trading away wide receiver Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans. And they didn't get anything that's going to help them this year. As a matter of fact, they got things that will hurt them significantly this year, which is where we're going to start today's show. And then we'll get into the headline of why the Jets have to, see 2 or 3 moves ahead against the Buffalo Bills. Here it was, in case you missed it, the Buffalo Bills received a 2025 second-round pick, that is next year's draft, in exchange for wide receiver Stefon Diggs, and they had to give up a 2024 sixth from this year and a 2025 fifth from next year to make that happen. There's just no other way to slice it. The Buffalo Bills got worse yesterday. And for those who may not know, for Stefon Diggs, you may not know Bills history, I wouldn't blame you. Stefon Diggs, in 4 seasons, that's as long as he was there, and that 4 number is going to be important in a second. In 4 seasons with the Bills, he became one of the best Bills wide receivers in franchise history. He is number 4 all-time in every major receiving category. That is receptions, that is yards, that is touchdowns. So the Buffalo Bills jettison that guy for these guys. These are the remaining receivers on the Buffalo Bills roster: Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Mac Hollins, Justin Shorter, KJ Hamler, Andy Isabella, Brian Thompson, Tyrell Shavers. Okay, some of those may be fake. That may be some sort of a Key and Peele sketch with some of these names that I just spit out, but nonetheless, those are the names. And while we can talk about the impact on the Jets and the AFC East and what does it all mean, Basil, we can get into all that, and we should. But before we get there, and before we make fun of him and dunk on the Bills for this bunch of randos at wide receiver, we have to say, what is the next move for the Buffalo Bills? Because the Bills, they're trying to compete. They're trying to contend. It doesn't make any sense to just trade away your best wide receiver when they were looking for a wide receiver too. They were looking for a complement to Stefon Diggs. Now they need a complement to Stefon Diggs, and then a replacement for Stefon Diggs is what the Buffalo Bills need. So the fascinating part is, what do they do next? Now, the Bills' cap space, according to Brandon Beane, their general manager, I heard his radio press conference yesterday on the way home. He said they were going to have about $3 million in cap space after this move, because this is another note we didn't mention. Stefon Diggs is now the largest dead cap hit for any non-quarterback in NFL history. It's costing the Buffalo Bills more money for him to not be on the team than to be on the team. Let that simmer for a second. The cap hit was somewhere like $27 million this year, as is, on the roster. Off the roster, he's like $30 million. So they have to take $3 million out of their piggy bank for this year to make sure he's not on the team. What in God's green earth could have been happening over there? And by the way, according to Brandon Beane, now this is kind of, he was asked straight up, did Stefon Diggs request a trade? And he said, I'm not going to confirm or deny that. But he's kind of confirming it by not confirming or denying it. It's by saying he doesn't want to reveal it. But yes, Stefon Diggs requested a trade, and they tried to get the best possible deal they could. So they have no cap to speak of. So that eliminates some of the bigger options on the table. T. Higgins, that can't happen. Justin Jefferson, that can't happen. Which brings us to the headline of this video, folks. It's this. This is a big indicator that the Buffalo Bills are going to try a massive trade up in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. And I have a full article in the YouTube description, so follow along if you'd like, and I explain all the juicy deets on this potential trade-up. The Bills hold the number 28 overall pick in the first round. And I was looking around Bills' social media because I'm a sports talk radio host here in Syracuse, so we talk some Bills on our radio station. And the waft in Bills land is that they could make a massive trade-up. I'm not talking about like 28 to 20. 28 to 15. People are talking about a top 10 deep dive by the Buffalo Bills to get one of the top 3 wide receivers in this draft. And those big 3 are Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, Malik Neighbors out of LSU, and Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington. That is the waft in Buffalo Bills land. Now, for the Bills to get in that territory, and ESPN also floated that possibility that the Chicago Bears at number 9 overall could be the target for the Bills, which would be sniping the Jets. Here is the math, according to the NFL draft value chart. The Buffalo Bills' 28th overall pick is only worth 660 points. The Chicago Bears, number 9 overall pick is worth 1350. It's more than double what the Buffalo Bills pick is worth. That is a differential in points of 690, which is the equivalent of a late first-round pick. In other words, it's going to cost the Bills an arm, a leg, and a kidney to be able to move up from the back end of the first into the top 10, but it's possible because the Buffalo Bills, of course, have their first-round pick next year. They have their first-round pick this year. They have their second-round pick this year. And if you combine all of those selections, a first and a second this year and a first next year, you could get into the top 10 range now. We, as Jet fans, are enjoying Diggs is no longer here. That's good news. He was a great player. He had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's in the top 5 in Buffalo Bills franchise history for all these numbers. This is good news. He's over in Houston. People will go, but Houston's in the AFC. I don't give a flying hoot. The path to the playoffs is the division. I don't care about the rest of the conference. We'll figure that out when we get there. And by the way, the Jets will play the Texans this year. That'll be a juicy primetime game, but more on that later. Sauce Gardner, Stefon Diggs, we'll see that again. But the fact of the matter is this, the New York Jets must be thinking multiple steps ahead because the Jets themselves could use another wide receiver. So they could benefit themselves by trading up to block the Buffalo Bills, box them out like a basketball game for that rebound. There are 3 big receivers in this draft, and there's a drop-off after. Sure, everyone says the draft is great, but the top 3 and the guys later aren't in the same category. That's why it's worth going up to get it. I don't want to see Buffalo Bills. Phil says in here, Harrison are neighbors with Josh Allen. Yikes. Exactamundo. So I don't want to see him with any of those. So let's do a solid by trading up ourselves to secure one of the top 3 and also simultaneously blocking the Buffalo Bills from doing it themselves. Hopefully we'll get to this at some point during the week, but the Jets hosted Rome Odunze, the Washington wide receiver, who, according to Ian Rappaport, is a quote-unquote likely top 10 pick. Zach Rosenblatt said he is the most likely of the 3 to slip to 10 or that range, even if it's a small chance. So the Jets have to guarantee and make sure that they are the ones that trade up, not the Buffalo Bills. And by the way, I'm sure Chicago, Atlanta, either one of those teams would much rather trade from 8 to 10 or 9 to 10 than 8 or 9 to 28. I mean, they don't want to do that, no matter what the Buffalo Bills offer. An advantageous position here to put themselves in the right spot to be able to strike while the iron's hot, because this is what I do. You do a little bit of this. You guys smell that? That's blood in the water. They're bleeding. The Buffalo Bills have been bleeding all offseason, losing key guys, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and then some of the era of Tre'Davious White, now Stefon Diggs. There is blood in the water, and I'm smelling it. My eyes are rolling in the back of my head because I can taste it. I can taste the AFC East slipping out of their grasp. Now, they will always be in the conversation because they have Josh Allen, but the roster is weaker. The Jets roster improved. The Dolphins roster regressed. The Bills roster regressed. And the Patriots are a dumpster fire. So the fact of the matter is this: the Jets should want to trade up. Now, me personally, I'd be going to the deep end of the pool. I'd be going after Rome Odunze as that final third receiver. Then you block out the Buffalo Bills and you put yourself in a spectacular position. So that's my thought process here, is that, sure, we could talk about, and I didn't go live yesterday, I was at the radio station, but we could talk about Stefon Diggs moving, Jets' chances in the AFC's rising up. And that was initially my thought for this video. Then I said, but let's go a step further, because we'll talk about that on the show. But let's go a step further on the true next move, because there's no way the Buffalo Bills go with a bunch of these sloppy Joes into the season at wide receiver. Again, names like Mac Hollins, Curtis Samuel, Brian Thompson. Some of these names, again, quite frankly, sound fake. Okay? So the Bills aren't going to enter the season with that. And that's what Brandon Beane kept saying in his little press conference. He said, we don't play football till September. We got time to do this and do that. And I think the move is wide receiver. I think that's what the Buffalo Bills are going to do, because they don't have a lot of cap. And what's the way to try to take advantage of the cap is take a rookie, cheap labor. Okay, relatively speaking, top 10 picks are pretty expensive, but not nearly as expensive as Justin Jefferson or T. Higgins or some craziness like that. It seems more likely that the Buffalo Bills will try to make a big move for a wide receiver, take advantage of the rookie contract, i.e., if you think about it, speaking of Justin Jefferson, the trade between the Vikings and Bills for Stefon Diggs resulted in the Vikings receiving Justin Jefferson. Who got the better end of that deal? Who knows? Actually, they both had a lot of success. Both teams had success, but that was the trade. It was for a first-round draft choice that ended up becoming Justin Jefferson, and the rest is history, as they say. So the Bills will try to do the reverse effect of trading away Stefon to hopefully get that rookie wide receiver to, of course, do things. So, yeah, there's no question. We could debate about a lot of things. The Bills got worse. They got no pick that helps them this year. They actually lost a pick this year, plus Stefon Diggs. Plus, it hurt their cap. So it's all good news. It's all gravy, baby. It's the gravy train for the New York Jets, as far as this is concerned. And over the last 2 years, Zach Wilson has beaten the Buffalo Bills twice. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? That's my question out to the universe. Anywho, all right, let's get into some of your questions or comments, and we'll, you know what, screw it. We'll open up the phone lines too. I'll put that one in there as well. If any of you guys would like to call in and react to this Buffalo Bills Stefon Diggs move or a potential trade up or any of that jazz, I will open up the phone lines for that. Let me do that. Let's see here. Okay, we will open up that as well for you guys. All right, here we go. Video link to call in. Okay, there we go. Just put that in the chat, and that is the pinned comment. So feel free, if you're watching live on one of the other features, feel free to click on over to YouTube. It is now the pinned comment. If you'd like to call into the show, just be on camera and be somewhere relatively quiet if you can, and I'll bring you on the show. We'll go through the green room. Okay, let me go through some comments here as we're going through all this. So I'm feeling spicy. I am feeling spicy. That's what I'd like to do. Dakota says, still in shock with this team forming to be a legitimate contender. The Jets are it. The iron is hot. Dakota J says his favorite signing is Tyron Smith. I agree. I've joined a few shows. People ask me what's my favorite signing. Unquestionably, it's Tyron Smith. He changes the entire offseason. Jared B says Buffalo got fleeced. Absolutely. And apparently, as we're hearing, a big reason why Stefon Diggs requested a trade, it sounds like. And it kept it quiet. And then he ends up going to Houston. And the Bills got the low end of the stick. Made my day, Houston fleecing Buffalo. I love it. Sergeant CVO says they have no cap. They're going into rebuild mode. When you have Josh out, you don't go into rebuild mode. Now, we can say that the roster got a lot weaker, and it did. But they are the key, the goal, the whatever, is to replace the older veterans with younger, cheaper talent, and hopefully to start a new era. That's the Bills' plan. Easier said than done, of course, because you got to hit on those picks. They got to rock the rookie contracts. It's a lot. They're going to be juggling. I don't think whenever you have Josh Allen, you're in a rebuilding mode, personally. Maybe it happens. Maybe the floor bottoms out. I would be surprised if that happens. John Sauer says, JD, stay the course. Don't let what Buffalo does affect your plans. I would feel that way if the Jets were in some sort of long-term 5-year plan, like keep doing your thing. The Jets are all in, John Sauer. Also part of the Boy Green Superfan Club that's available to anyone who's watching on YouTube. Feel free to join the party. So I would you have to at least be aware of the things that are happening in the AFC East. And again, to me, that would increase my aggression. I smell blood in the water. I'm striking. I am attacking. Attack. That's what Hassan Reddick talked about the Jets defense. That's what I'm talking about this Jets offseason. Strike. Let's see. Jets are already out of the top 3 receivers more than likely, so the 3 other teams need to worry about blocking Buffalo than we do. Buffalo isn't jumping us for a tight end. Yeah, again, if you want to be safe, if you stay there at 10, you're getting somebody good because there's only a guarantee of 9 players to go before you. 4 are likely going to be quarterbacks. That brings the players down to 4. Because you have the 4 and then the 8 and then you at 10. So you'll be able to do the math to ultimately get there from that perspective. So if you play safe, if you're complacent, if you kind of let things fall to you, Brock Bowers, an offensive tackle, any of those things can happen. But let's be aggressive, baby. I think that's the key. All right, this is a historic moment. The first time this man, Jets content creator extraordinaire, has ever graced us with his presence on the program in video style. So let's bring him in. Gator McCluskey joining us here on the show. Good morning, Gator.
What do you say? How are you? Good morning. Good to see you.
Howdy diddly. How we doing? You look
I'm
great,
good.
pal.
Hey, I'm just out walking my dog here.
Okay,
and
nice.
I saw you go live. It's one of those rare moments. I figured I'd say hello. And also thank you, man, for putting up with my little goofy videos where I make fun of you. And you guys all always have a great sense of humor about it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, by the way, what's your dog's name?
Not my choice. His name is Goose. And it's
okay.
And it's basically from Top Gun because a friend has Ace. And we got stuck. We got stuck with the dog name of the hero that died, of course.
Yes, right. Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't crazy about the name, but I was like, Maverick would have been good.
No, sure.
But we got Goose, but he's fine. He's Goose. He's Goose. He does his thing. He just took a huge dump before, and I wouldn't have called you if that hadn't happened yet. But
I appreciate that.
The only Jets thing I have for you, because I'm not very smart like you and the other content creators, I'm a bit of a clown.
No.
But I was thinking about Hard Knocks from last year, and I was wondering if some of these signings we got were a little bit of a benefit from Hard Knocks, because part of the culture of the Jets is seeing the practice facility and, how cool it is to be part of that culture. I wonder if Hard Knocks ultimately helped us land a few big names, just because the whole league was watching it, and these guys were like, that would be a great place to be. So I wanted your thoughts about that, because I certainly wouldn't want them on Hard Knocks again, because I think it was a little distracting.
Yeah. But wouldn't that be ironic, though, that the Jets who kicked and screamed about this Hard Knocks thing, and ultimately the NFL was like, hey, this is happening, buddy. And they're like, all right, you bastards. And I think you're right. You see those little moments like Sauce and Rodgers have the chain, the vibe, Wilson, the goofing around, the everything. Like, wow, you know what? We had a perception about the Jets that everyone says same old Jets, this, they're low-hanging fruit, they're the punchline. But, wow, they're actually pretty cool. Oh, wow. The only reason maybe they really, truly collapsed was this big Aaron Rodgers. Oh, man, if he's healthy, blah, blah, blue. I think you're right. I think it's a compelling case to be made there, Gator.
Yeah. I don't know what made me think of it, but like I said, I'm not a smart person. So when it comes to football, I listen to all this draft stuff, and I'm like, wow, you guys you're deep, and I appreciate it, and I'm learning a lot. But, after 37,000 mock drafts, I'm ready for this thing, man. Let's go.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Gator, before you sign off, give some shameless plugs, baby. You got your own channel pumping, baby.
Yeah, well, so at Gator Jets is the YouTube channel, which I created, called Gator Sports. And I started it to sort of have a home for all the Jake Asman stuff that I do, but starting to branch out a little. I did an origin story on Jake Asman, and I'm going to continue doing those with Jet content creators. So I'm coming after you soon, buddy.
Oh
Hoping
boy, okay.
you'll
I'd
allow
be
me
honored.
to do an origin story on you.
You got a lot of love, I will say, on that origin story. I heard them talking about it on one of the Jake Asman shows. A lot of the fans loved you branching out and being able to step out of the shadows yourself. So, yeah, man, I'm rooting for that series, and I'm looking forward to everything cranking out, buddy.
Yeah, man. A little less Jets talk, and it's more about you guys and what got you there, and what made you become the person you are today. So
That's
hopefully I
beautiful,
continue
man.
that, and then that'll be something that guys that tune into you would be interested in finding out more about Boy Green.
Okay, I can't wait. Well, Gator, enjoy the rest of your walk, pal, and thanks for taking the time to call in. Means a lot.
Right on. Cheers. Good seeing you, man.
There he is, Gator McCluskey, baby, joining us here on the program. And to be honest, he's right. He's really right. On Hard Knocks, they were kicking and screaming about it, and I understand why. And I heard it's not just the Jets. I'm not trying to just make fun of the Jets here. I heard Ryan Poles join the Rich Eisen show, and they said, "Hey, Hard Knocks." He's like, "I don't want it, but we'll see." Basically, because sometimes it gets forced on you when you're the obvious story. I think the Bears will probably be the obvious story of intrigue of Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, and all that stuff. They're probably the story. They were close to being the story this past year. So I could totally see them being it again. But I think a lot of people are getting an inside look that this is not the same old Jets and that this is a different era of Jets football. And there's a different vibe, and there's going to be some sex appeal. The new uniforms are coming out. You got Rodgers. You got a lot of star talent. A lot of players chose to come here. Mike Williams. I know Morgan Moses was a trade, but you start kind of filtering through a bunch of these options, a bunch of these moves, and you're like, okay, this is a different Jets. This is a new Jets. This is a Jet. And plus, whatever else is happening in the AFC is Jesus. The Dolphins threw a grenade in their defensive room. The Buffalo Bills are blowing up, and the Patriots we're speaking rebuilds. They're rebuilding it brick by brick, baby, which leaves one team left. That's your let's see if I can do this. New York Jets. That's the team, baby. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got our good buddy. We got Johnny gracing us with his presence. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, man? How you holding up, bro?
I'm doing good, and thanks for the tickets to the gun show. Appreciate it. I didn't see that in the byline, but I appreciate you bringing it in. So thanks, brother. Yeah,
just getting ready to head into the office in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, I'm calling in to just say that there should be no reason why we shouldn't win the division this year. Every single team in our division got weaker and we got stronger. I mean, God willing, with no injuries, right? There should be no reason again why. I mean, maybe win 4 out of the 6 games that we would play against in the division itself would be nice. Enough for us to win it, right? I feel like we always kind of crap the bed when we play in Miami. Like, Miami could be the worst team in the freaking league, and for some reason, man, we stay, playing them kind of weird. I don't get why, but
very bizarre. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, the whole Buffalo Bills situation and everything, it kept being talked about. Stefon Diggs wanted out. And now the reports are coming out like he wanted a trade. So is it a lot more? Is it really bad over there? And they're not just trying to keep everything in-house? I mean, normally it's us, right? The Jets are the ones that you're hearing all the crap about. This player wants this player wants that, or station is this. So it's kind of good for to see us be just chilling on the couch right now and not dealing with all that crap. And that just goes to show everybody, because there's a lot of people that do not like JD, that do not like Salah, and I understand why. I mean, the record itself, but I feel like this year they should be judged with a good quarterback, good line, and then kind of go from there, right? But this is showing everybody that the culture is really good and it has a good foundation, because you're not hearing about any of this stuff. I mean, we didn't hear none of this stuff about the whole Hartman thing.
No,
until way
no,
later
we
on.
didn't hear anything until after the fact, which I think should be. Again, to your point, a lot of people are crapping on Sala and Douglas. I understand the record's terrible, so it's a results oriented business. I get it. They don't win, you make fun of them and all that stuff, but that's a credit to Sala for keeping that inside the locker room. That could have gotten nasty pretty quick, because if they thought he was leaking playbook stuff in the middle of the season, let's be honest, that could have destroyed the entire season, the integrity of the league. All that stuff could have been wild after the fact, and how it all played out. It was kind of crazy at first, and then it all went under the radar. So yeah, Douglas deserves a lot of credit for cracking the whip and having that room. He oversees it, but he said it's a lot of like kind of policing yourself. There's a trust with the locker room, and that trust was well placed, as it appeared. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like I said again, it's honestly, man, this draft. I know that there's like 1,000 billion freaking mock drafts out there, kind of going back to
Yeah.
what Gator was saying, which is the
Right.
truth. So I'm just, dude, I'm just over it. I'm like, let's break the draft.
Yeah.
Let's hope that JD makes one move, right? And I kind of did
Oh
talk
yeah.
to you a little bit about the whole Boyd situation, and I get the
Mm-hmm.
whole cap stuff. Everybody's like, oh, the cap. I think the cap is a fugazi. Be honest with you, man. Right? There's ways to
Yeah.
be able to maneuver things, and we have a GM
Sure.
more than capable than
Mm-hmm.
doing that. But let's just say we get Boyd, right? You get a proven wide receiver to play inside the slot. You keep
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson at the outside with Williams on the other outside, and then your fourth is Alan Lazard. I mean, sign me up for that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you could really worry about the O line, and then getting another possible wide receiver later on. I mean, I think this whole kick return stuff
Mm-hmm.
it is a huge piece that nobody's really talking about, because I like Gibson, man, but he was kind of suspect in a lot of those, plays, because they looked like he was about to drop them. But you
Mm-hmm.
got your Luke McCaffrey that's known for going ahead, Rice,
Yes, that's right.
other
Rice. Yeah.
Turner, and all that. So those are looking very spicy to go ahead and maybe grab in the
Mm-hmm.
fourth round, those later rounds, and bring them on. But just your thoughts on that, man, and keep doing your thing, brother.
Appreciate you, Johnny. That's awesome. Johnny joining us on the show right before he heads into the office. Yeah, Boyd would make sense. Again, if the Jets want to be, we have a couple more weeks before we get to the draft. If they want to add a Boyd OBJ and just plug in another guy before the draft hits, then you're even more insured at the position, and maybe you don't need to make the splash trade up, and you can truly sit back and get a Bowers, get an offensive lineman, do whatever the heck you want. That could be very compelling. I also see Manuel here says, but why not rob the Bills and get many of their picks? Could you imagine, Manuel, on YouTube, if the Jets traded with the Buffalo Bills? This goes back to another draft story. We'll talk about that in a second. But let's go back to the old one first. The Jets had the third overall pick in the draft a bunch of years ago. And the Jets wanted to trade back. They desperately wanted to trade back. Quinnen Williams is on the board, but they wanted to trade back. The team that called was the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills wanted to move up for Quinnen Williams. Can you imagine if that trade would have actually happened? The Jets didn't do it because they didn't get proper value. But could you imagine what would have happened if the Jets traded back from 3 to 9, Bills get Quinnen Williams, and he's the one that's been dominating us every time we play? That's why you don't trade typically, especially that kind of draft capital, because Quinnen Williams can haunt you for the next 15 years if that would have went through. And that's incredibly dangerous for obvious reasons. If, let's say this scenario, the Jets drop back all the way there and get all those million picks you guys are talking about. Jets go to 28. Bills get Roma Dunze, let's just say. And he turns into a superstar. The Jets deal with a superstar wide receiver, and they have a bunch of late round picks, because that's what they'll be. If the Bills continue to be good, the first round pick's already late, that's 28. The second round pick's late. And then the first round pick next year would, in theory, also be late. You know what I mean? So trading back sounds fun on paper. Everyone loves to trade back. You have a pocket of players you want, you trade back, and you still get someone from your pocket of players, and you got a bunch of picks, you look like a genius. But dropping back all the way to 28, 22, as we've talked about with the Eagles on the Connor New York Flight Jets talk reference. I don't know, man. I'm not touching that. I'm not helping the Bills. John Sauer, Boy Green Superfan Club. Paul, who cares about what Buffalo does? We need to worry about what's best for our team. The Buffalo Bills have won the division 4 straight years. I care about what Buffalo does because that's who we're fighting for. The Bills have won the division so many times that the team they were shooting for is the Chiefs. They answered Chief questions throughout the offseason. That's the team we want to get over the hump. That's a team. For us, we haven't won the division since 2002. It's 2024. We're long overdue. So the Bills, absolutely I'm paying attention to. And if some people don't like that, that just is what it is, I suppose. But, yeah, I am paying attention to the Buffalo Bills. Nick Teodoro, acknowledge me. Will do. There you go, Nick. You have just been acknowledged. We got WrestleMania coming up this weekend, baby. 5-1, 4-2 in the AFC. Sounds great. Let's see what happens. You got to sweep New England because they suck. And then Buffalo, Miami. Try to split or sweep. I mean, it'll be difficult, but you got to do your business. Yeah, I think Becton gets a fresh start somewhere else. Yeah, Miami's been weird, to Johnny's point. They've been very weird against us. But we have to do business with our quarterback to see what changes. Greg, what's up? How you doing? Realistic Jets fan. Bill says something the Jets don't: a functional GM and a head coach, as well as a history of making the playoffs and not getting over the top. Which is why I think Stefon Diggs got frustrated. They got annoyed with reaching the same platform or lower, because they went to the AFC Championship game, and then it was divisional, and so yeah, sure. It's been a great run. You can't lie with what the Bills have been able to do, but they haven't been able to get over the hump, and now I think the window's closed, or closing at the very least. Yeah, Houston looks good. The Jets will play Houston next year. Looking forward to that. Sun Moon Rise 31. What will the Jets do at RB2 and safety? Again, I want a guy like Zeke, and at safety, probably bring back Ashton. But, again, maybe you could convince a Justin Simmons to take peanuts to play on a great team. That's true, NY Jets FL. I didn't consider the potential of a fake Gator. That would have been impressive, a fake Gator for the Gator. But shout out to Gator. That's cool. He's doing his own channel. I have not seen the Jake Asman origin story video yet. I've just heard a lot of people talk about it, so I got to carve out some time and check that out. Yeah, Gator's surprise skits are awesome. So, yeah, I give him a lot of credit. He brings a unique flavor to the Jets community, which I think is really cool. The AIS stuff is kind of crazy sometimes, but, yeah, it's pretty cool. I respect it. I respect comedy. It's fun. You have to be self-deprecating. You got to laugh at yourself. And Gator gives you plenty of opportunities to do that, of laughing at ourselves. Let's see. Let's see. Trade down for sure. Again, it's easier said. It's easy to talk about trading down, but it takes two to tango. Zach Rosenblatt doubled down yesterday on the Can't Wait podcast. He is very skeptical the Jets will find the trade down scenario they're looking for. That's from Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. We'll see if he's right. Peter Campisi said, perhaps Diggs has read the writing on the wall. Bill's window is closed, and them neon lights are flashing. Could be. Is good but declining. I mean, I don't know about that. I think Stefon Diggs is about to kill it there in Houston. Here are the last 4 seasons for Stefon Diggs. Yeah, maybe there's a decline, but it's not great. Here are the 4 seasons of Stefon Diggs. 127 catches, 103 catches, 108 catches, 107 catches. 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,100 yards. 8 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. I don't see the decline that people are talking about. Like the Buffalo Bills are some sort of genius and they're getting ahead of this thing. I think a player wanted out and he got out and it cost the Bills. So I don't think there's some sort of genius plan here behind the scenes for the Bills of like they're thinking of this. Maybe they got tired of Stefon Diggs' act. From what I understand from Bills people, he tweets all this cryptic social media stuff and stirs the pot and stuff like that. And, when you have a talented player, you can pass it. But if he truly, as it appeared, requested a trade this offseason. I guess they really had no choice, because then that could have potentially spiraled out of control. But no, there's no way when you trade a player who's in the first year of his extension, which is true, which is this year, that's some genius move. No, that's it's confounding. It doesn't make any sense. It was the largest dead cap hit of any non-quarterback in NFL history. What are we talking about here, people? What are we talking about here? I just no, I don't see it. Allen can't win the big games. We'll see if he can in the future. All right, I'll get back to the chat here in a little bit, but let's get back to the call-in line, which, by the way, is available. It's been at the top of YouTube. You have to be on that if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter. Heavy on Jets. Shout out to them for supporting the program. But if you're watching on one of those features, you got to hop on over to youtube.com/BoyGreen25. All right, let's go over to, we got Nick T joining us here on the program. Good morning, Nick.
What is up, Boy Green? How you doing?
What's popping? I'm fired up, baby. I love it. I love all these people that are calling in the mornings. This is very nice.
Yeah, it's a great way to start your day. Honestly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Jets got better today, and the chances of the Jets going to the AFC Championship game and having Super Bowl run are increased in the sense that the division got that much weaker.
Right.
So I don't think there's any way we can't look at this as a positive as Jets fans. So I'm super happy about Diggs being out of the division. I mean, we contained him and Buffalo for the most part for the last couple of years anyhow. But I just think Buffalo's now in that stage where they have to rebuild. They're spending so much money on Allen. So, it's the opportunity is now. The window is open. So again, this is great news yesterday, when this came out. So I'm super happy about that.
By the way, we got a question for you that was sent in for you on the show. It is from Johnny, who says, can you ask Nick who he thinks is winning the WrestleMania Day 1 matches? Now, there's probably too many WrestleMania Day 1 matches to go through. I just saw the card yesterday. I was like, whoa, okay, well, I'm looking forward to this weekend. But how about let's go to the big tag team match. Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. If we get the Bloodline win, it's Bloodline rules on Sunday in the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match. If not, then it's basically those guys will be barred from ringside. Basically, what is your prediction for a said match on Saturday?
So, without giving a spoiler, a little teaser to our my wife and I's podcast that I know we're gonna have you on at some point in time. So I know.
Yes, that'd be awesome. Yeah, baby.
Shout out to the Nick Club Wrestling Podcast. So we do Fridays at 6.
Nice.
But so we're going to do our predictions actually this Friday. But
okay,
in terms of that match, I think there's going to be a lot of twists and turns. There's going to be, I think, some interference. I think some real nefarious activities. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
In terms of Rock, potentially, there's rumors of the Rock turning. I think the Rock could be faced. I think there's some tension that's going to be kind of alluded to in that match with Rock and Roman. So, and there's some storylines in the past with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. So I think there's going to be some interesting turns and twists and turns in that match. And WrestleMania is always known to have a lot of different things that we don't see coming. So that's kind of what I'm expecting out of that match. So in terms of the actual prediction, I'll save that for Friday. But
okay, good tease, good tease. You're a real professional. I appreciate that. And Johnny, acknowledging our Tribal Chief, throw up the ones, baby. Appreciate you, Johnny. And thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Yeah, so that's good. That's good. Don't reveal the juicy deets, but we'll be tuning in Friday, 6 o'clock. Give us the channel one more time.
Oh yeah, the Nick Club Wrestling. The Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. We do Fridays at 6 p.m. on YouTube here. So it's just if you you type my name in, Nick Teodoro, there in Twitter, it'll pop right up. So definitely appreciate it on that front. But again, back to Jets. Hey, actually kind of tying this in, I got a good wrestling Jets related question for you. Opinion. So talking about the bloodline, and actually to Johnny's point and question, with the bloodline, considered one of the greatest wrestling families. There's a lot of others. But
Sure.
in the NFL, and even with the Jets, you could argue we have one of the best football families currently with the Williams brothers, right? So who would you say is, football royalty? And honestly, I feel like the unanimous name is going to be the Mannings, but aside from them, who else do you feel, could be out there?
Wow, that's a really good question. So let me make sure I don't leave anyone off the list, and I will pull up the best football families here. But the first one that jumps out for sure is the Mannings. But another one before I even look up whoever's on this list, the Watts. You have JJ, you have Derek, and I think there's a third brother that I'm forgetting. I got to double check it.
Derek? Is it Derek? No.
Yeah, Derek, TJ. Obviously, I'm an idiot. Yeah, so JJ, TJ, Derek. So there's the Watt family. Obviously, that one jumps out. Everyone talks about the Manning family. They're in there, and for good reason. Let's say another one. Oh, the Longs. So that's Chris, that's Howie, and who's the other one? Chris, Howie, and Kyle. Kyle's the other one. So that's another really good one of families. Gronkowski, obviously. You have Rob. You have his dad. You have his brother. That's another one. So that's another group that could be on there. The Cromarties. That's another really good one in here. Antonio, Dominique Rogers Cromartie, Damon Cromartie. Yeah, there's a lot of Cromarties in there as well. That's another one I knew is the Edmonds. So you had Terrell Edmonds, Tremaine Edmonds, who was a former Buffalo Bills linebacker. He jumped back over. Trey Edmonds. That's another one as well.
There's going to be a few more Cromarties coming out, I feel like.
I left that out there for you, and I'm glad that you took that. And the final one, the number one on this list, this is one I think we overlook all the time. It's the Matthews family, which includes Clay Sr., Clay Jr., Bruce, Clay III, Kevin, Casey, Jake, Mike, Troy. And they have like a bunch of like little Clays running around too. So that family is super deep. So that's another group that certainly deserves all the love. So yeah, I love the bloodline question. There's a lot of good ones in there. So Cromartie love for all our Jets people in the room. But yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Manning probably always gets the love because of the Peyton and Eli. And again, it's still kind of crazy that you're a father who plays in the NFL. You have two boys, and both of them win a pair of Super Bowls. That's like a wild for them to even play football and to reach the NFL level and to both win 2 world championships for teams is just, pinch yourself. That's wild. That's crazy.
Yeah, the Watts had a shot at doing it. I don't know. I guess JJ never really got there, but
right.
That organization always is there. So eventually, before his end of his career, he'll have a shot at that too.
Yeah, we'll see. I love it, but great question, Nick. We'll look forward to that wrestling podcast, buddy, and I will grace that like the tribal chief with my presence at some point in the future. TBD. We'll figure that out, pal.
I'll catch you next time.
All right, there he is. Nick joining us here on the line. And wow, this is a historic run on the call-in line. I'm pretty sure this is the first time that Avatal has called into the program, at least this show. So let's bring him in and continue this train. Let's bring him in on the program. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Boy Green? I know I bust your balls about your partner because I used to work with him. I worked with him 25 years ago.
Wow.
On a show. At college. So when I heard that you were doing a show with him, I'm like, oh my God, love the dude. Couple of questions. First of all, on the Bills, I know people are laughing at the Bills that they lost Diggs, they lost Davis. To me, I don't count out the Bills because of 2 people, Josh Allen and Matt Milano. Those 2 guys, to me, are the heart and soul of the team. So I worry more about the Bills than I do anybody else in the division. I have no confidence in the Dolphins in a big spot.
Yeah.
I still believe the Bills are a big team. I know you're a trade up guy with the Jets. I know you want to go get your Neighbors and your Harrison, and I understand they're phenomenal players.
Sure.
I think the opposite. I'm a trade back guy. To me, the idea of getting a second round wide receiver is so appealing, as you see on my line.
I see that. Get Lad in trade back. Very nice.
That is the guy I want. I want Ladd McConkey in round 2.
What's the range, real quick? Because I do a quick follow up here. Because I've heard conflicting things. I've heard some people say he's going to be in the 30s of the early second. I've heard some people say the 20s, and I've heard even some people be as freaky as say he's going to be a late teens guy. And I guess if you read enough mock drafts, I guess you will see every possible scenario. But what say you for the range for Ladd?
I say he's in the 25 to 40 range.
Okay.
I think Thomas will be wide receiver 4.
Okay.
I could see an AD Mitchell being a wide receiver 5. I know people are in love with Xavier Worthy because of his speed.
Combine kid. Yeah.
To me, he's another Hollywood Brown. I don't really have an interest in him. Again, I have 3 receivers in the second round that I covet, and that's McConkey, Robin Wilson, and Ricky Pearsall. To get a second round pick and trade back, like the trade that I've proposed that I think would make so much sense for the Jets is for the Jets to trade 10 and 72 to the Eagles. Eagles come up and go get themselves Quinyon Mitchell, their number 1 corner, and the Jets go get 22, 50, and 53. And if you look at the trade chart, the draft trade chart, I think it's 1350 to 1330. That's what it is. So to me, to get it, I would go get a developmental tackle in the first round, whether it's a Tyler Guyton or a Amarius Mims. Let him learn under the 2 veteran tackles. And in the second round, go get me one of the 3 receivers, as I said. Or if you want, you can go get yourself a Christian Haynes as a guard. Or you can go get yourself a Tavondre Sweat as a defensive tackle, a guy you can put right in the middle next to Quinnen Williams. That, to me, makes more sense for the Jets. I think the Jets have some needs, and to fill those 3 needs in the first 2 rounds is something I'm more interested in than going to get up and go get themselves a Malik Neighbors, who, don't get me wrong, I think is a phenomenal player. I want to get more capital. I want to get more guys who could fit certain roles. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I respect that. I will say I appreciate us all, adhering to the true tribal chief, which is the NFL draft value chart, and making sure we get our proper numbers there. I will say if the Jets trade back to that, I know what the value chart says, and again, it's compelling because, again, you want to get the points as close to make it, in theory, as realistic as possible. I don't think the Jets got to give up 72 if they do that. Schefter was talking about it with Connor on his show that, boy, if you do that 10 to 22 drop back, which is where the Eagles sit, that they would have to even sacrifice a first rounder next year and more. So to use that combination, I know we're getting multiple seconds in there. I don't think you have to give up 72. And that one, to me, if you say, hey, Paul, here it is.
What about if you give up a 4th maybe in that deal?
Yeah, maybe you have to give up something. And especially if I can really, truly lure them in to see, like, okay, like if you do the 2 2s for this, what would it cost for the 1 and this? And I try to combine the capital because, future ones are always super attractive. And then teams are willing to burn them in the future because, again, in theory, they have less value than the present day pick. So somehow you could swahoodle that in with a top 50 pick, outside of the first round swap. That to me would be intriguing if you could try to figure that out. Maybe that's where I include 72 to really start to wiggle. But again, it's a compelling case you make because all the players you're saying, I love Ricky Pearsall. I love Roman Wilson. I love Vlad. All these guys sounds really awesome on top of obviously whatever you would be doing with your first round swap, which maybe ends up being one of those receivers, or you get that in the second round range when you have some of those combinations. So the thing that I feel great about is that, Alan, you're so gosh darn invested in your trade back. I'm so invested in the trade up. And there's a bunch of stand pat people that just say, hey, let's let the draft just play to us and let's see what happens. And the thing is, in this world where everyone gets a participation trophy, it's everyone gets a win. I love my plan. I love your plan. I love that random Josh's plan in the comment section. These are all phenomenal plans. And I don't think they can go wrong. I'd be willing right now, screw the draft, I'd roll out right now, and I feel confident about the New York Jets heading into the season. And that's a wild thing to say with how rich this draft is. You have 7 picks to add even more talent to the team. That's how confident I feel right now. So I'm loving everything that's going to be added to this pool inevitably with whatever combination of things they do. Moving up, moving down, adding more picks now, adding more picks later. There's a compelling case to be made. But it's cool to hear your backstory here, your explanation, your rationale for these picks and hearing it. Because sometimes I think when you get it in the chat, you get a couple of words. And I love people that are I'm seeing all these Boy Green Super Fan Club members. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 on my screen right now. I see all their comments, but sometimes when you can get the visual, the compelling case, you step up. All right, let's bring Avatar to the stand. And then, a hand up. Yes, I promise to say anything but the truth, only the truth. Yes. And then you give me the pitch. It's compelling. It's persuasive. I will be honest.
I do come across as negative sometimes. I'm not going to say that I don't. I'm such a passionate fan of this team. I worry about the coach. I am not a fan of the coach. I know a lot of people are. That's one of the two things that worry me the most. I don't really have a lot of confidence in the coach. I also worry about the health. I mean, you're going to rely on 2 33-year-old tackles going into this season, asking a lot. And to me, as far as the coach is concerned, my last point,
sure.
Do I see the coach going into Kansas City and winning a playoff game? I don't know. I worry about that. That's the one thing I worry about the coach. I would have fired him. That's just my opinion.
Sure.
I have more.
A lot of people would have. Yeah.
I have more confidence in the GM than the coach, even though I think the GM should take a lot of the blame as well because he hired the coach.
Of course.
But again, I don't have a lot of confidence in the coach. Hopefully I'll be proven wrong. But until then, I don't have a lot of confidence that this coach can go into a Baltimore or go into a Kansas City and win a game. I just don't. I worry.
And by the way, that's a fair take to have. I just want to say to say, well, okay, prove it to me. And by the way, we will find out the schedule in 2 months time, or excuse me, like a month and a half ish. We'll kind of see when the official date is. There's going to be plenty of ops on that schedule to either prove you right or prove you wrong. I fully anticipate the Jets are getting the 5 primetime games, and I think there's been chatter about the Black Friday game becoming a ritual thing, whether it's Jets or Giants hosting. That's what I believe is going to happen, which would be outside the primetime. So then they'd be getting 6 plus flex opportunities if the Jets are cooking the back end of the season. So there should be plenty. We saw some of the opponents, Houston, the divisional games, all these sexy 49ers. There's a lot of ones that are on the table where the Jets are going to be in that situation you're talking about. And how does Saleh handle it? I'm kind of curious to see myself whether or not he can, because we're going to find out one way or the other. We're not going to go through the regular season and go, I'm just not so sure. Did Saleh figure it out or not? Like, we're going to have a conviction of, oh, yeah, he did. Or, oh, Jesus, he didn't. And then we're heading into the playoffs with, doing voodoo dolls and voodoo juju. Those kind of things will be happening for us. Yeah.
But keep up the great work. I love listening to you in the morning. I'm actually working here with 3 computer screens right now in my office. So my eyes are a little bugging. So I appreciate the work and I appreciate the passion. And again, give my regards to Jimmy, okay? Thanks a lot.
All right. Will do. Thanks for calling in. There it is. I love it for Avatar joining us here on the show. And let's keep the train rolling to wrap up the show. We've got one final caller joining us, and he's been a frequent flyer. He's going to have to swipe his Chase Blue Points card on the way out to get all the membership points for all of his call-ins lately for these frequent flyer miles so he could get all the bonuses that are included for the quantity of visits. Let's bring him in. That is NY Jets FL joining us here on the road. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Paul? Good morning. I respect Alan Avatal's takes. He's got some really good opinions on things, but just a couple things I want to touch on. But the last thing one of the last points Alan made, what coach would be confident going into Kansas City? There's 31 other teams that would not be confident in winning that game with the combination of Mahomes and
Andy Reid. Yeah. I got you.
Thank you. And Andy Reid. I just don't. I understand Alan's take on Saleh being, you're not positive on Saleh, but I don't know if you can judge Salah by that criteria. Let's just say that. It's a pretty high
Yeah,
bar.
we haven't seen him
'Cause
have a quarterback yet. Let's be honest. He's had the worst quarterback play in the NFL basically his entire tenure here with the New York Jets. Give him Aaron Rodgers, who, even if we want to be conservative, I think he's going to be a top half of the league quarterback. That means 16 and up. I think it's very fair that that's the jump it's going to be. So if you're having a half league jump from one year to the next, let's see how Salah performs in those situations when he has a quarterback, because that changes your mentality for going forward in this situation, that situation, when you have confidence in your quarterback, which is something the Jets haven't had. So I think that's another factor in the Salah thing we haven't seen. And some people wanted him fired at the end of last year. Now he will have obviously he's not. So he's coming back and he's going to have Rodgers. Let's see how he does in those situations. I think that's a fair judgment point to see moving forward with that. And ultimately he holds the knife. Is he going to be dead? Is he going to be alive moving forward? It's up to him.
Exactly. I also agree with Alan. I mean, I kind of really want to trade down, but I have a different theory.
Please do. Float it out.
Yeah, if we get a second rounder, and I don't know if Ladd McConkey's going to be there in the second, I would really consider Chris Jenkins, because
that'd be awesome.
That guy is a monster in the middle, a disruptor, a dog, and he's got the ties to the Jets family.
Of course.
That kind of guy in the middle of the field as a disruptor, clogging up the running lanes and doing various other things, I would strongly consider him. And then you could always trade back into the second. And like Alan said, you got the Ricky Pearsalls, and I like Jalen Polk. There's a couple third rounders I would like. There are plenty of receivers that maybe we can get in the third round. But to shore up the defense, and add another piece to the defense, I know that's blasphemy to talk about a defensive player. Do you want to say something, Paul? I have another thing about the Bills, but
yeah. So it would be an awesome story. It would be cool. It'd be Bill Ruckert, Jeremy Ruckert, what happened a few years ago, but like in a different way, because I just loved Chris so much. His father, senior, was just a great personality, great guy on the team. It was in the middle of that success. And to have that torch passed down from father to son, it'd be like Joey Porter-ish, that we saw last year. I mean, it would just be so cool. So yes, sign me up. I know, to your point, right? I don't know how that take will settle and marinate in the chat. Yeah, blasphemy. Okay, so immediately not. so people are immediately reacting to it, but I will tell you that between me, you, and the four walls, no one else is listening right now. It's just us talking. I would love Chris Jenkins to come here and continue that tradition, because to be honest, if you really evaluate the interior defensive line room, because outside of Quinnen, there was no one this year, and then you've just kind of brought a lot of guys in as mercenaries, whether it's Sally, who's the loyal soldier of Salah, or it's the dart throw of Kinlaw, or Likey Fotu, or what have you. There still isn't that guy that's the long-term Quinnen buddy, and maybe the guy who eventually is with Quinnen until the end. Chris Jenkins end game, that would be amazing.
Most definitely. And our running game suffered,
Yes.
I mean, not running game, I mean our defensive
I understand.
against
like the ability to stop the run. Right. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not on a lot of sleep, of course. You know how that goes.
That's right.
With me. At least I don't have Bucks gear on today, so
that's true. A good thing. Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you.
But you had something on the Bills, you said, right?
Oh yeah, real quick.
Yeah,
I think the window closed when they hired Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator, because they were losing. Josh was reckless again, so they kind of took the ball out of his hands in a way. They got back to the running game more, and there's plenty of game managers in the league. You got to be elite to beat a lot of these players like Mahomes and now maybe even I'm so bad with names lately. The
Herbert?
Kid from Houston.
CJ Stroud. Oh yeah.
CJ Stroud. God bless.
He's a freak.
I need more coffee today. That and that's what Diggs probably. I don't think Diggs gets along. That's my theory. But I don't think Diggs gets along with Allen, period. But maybe he sees the handwriting on the wall that Allen's never going to win. Maybe Diggs really wants to ring chase, no matter how much of a diva he is. I mean,
Like, what
That's
other
one way to
reason
do
would
it.
there be to leave? Like, let's be honest. The Bills have won the division 4 years in a row. They've been kicking ass. All
Right.
the credit to them. But for your number one wide receiver, the best buddy of Josh Allen, the production has been there together to say, yeah, I want out, which has basically been confirmed this entire time. Why else? Unless, right, there is some relationship thing, or as we're seeing people in the chat saying, like wide right or cold weather or whatever, like not getting over the hump, maybe. But either way, like I think jumping ship and how the rest of it jumped ship with a mass roster exodus. How is that not just a giant red flag? Like, wee you, what's happening over here? Everyone's running for the hills. Maybe to your point, right? There's the Sean McDermott firing stuff in the middle of the season last year that, like, I
That
don't
too.
know the validity of any of that, but, that stuff floating out there. You're right. Maybe it's better to be 1 year out than before the entire shit show shows up.
Yep. In a way, if I was Buffalo, I would just not tank the season, but I would try to get a top 10 pick, and then maybe you can draft a real wide receiver, because I don't know what you're going to get at 28, and you're going to really have to mortgage your future
Mm-hmm.
after Josh Allen if he stays. What are you going to do? Give away your drafts the next 2 years to get a receiver? It's great. They're in a tough spot. I mean, not that I'm
Yeah.
complaining, but they are in a tough spot. So yeah, let them suffer.
Yes.
Also, Sauce Gardner, he can take the Bills games off if he wants to sit, because there's nobody that we can't handle.
Yeah,
And
Matt
that and that
Collins,
and that.
Khalil Shakir. Yeah, what are we talking about here? I mean, come on. Unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you probably got to close the show up, but I appreciate it. And let me know when your dad's coming on for more stories that we can kind of banter about. More
Yeah,
the
that will be
positive.
Saturday. So outside of
More.
some random schedule thing for him, it will be every Saturday moving forward. Yes, sir.
Will he come with another great story and slides to
Yeah, he
provide?
said that he
Oh,
apparently said that he has stories for the next several months, which is quite concerning. That's a lot of shows, and apparently he's got a lot of material. So I'm looking forward to and not looking forward to that at the same time. Honestly.
hey,
Yeah.
Paul, real quick.
Yes, sir.
I would say maybe you should do one on him
Ooh, that'd be a good
in the
plot twist. I'm
reverse.
gonna have to think of a
If
really
you
good
can
one for that.
if you can handle that, because I heard him say something about bitch slapping you. So you may,
Well, I'm gonna
I
put
would.
that in my notes right now. That's
All
it.
right.
Excellent point. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
Yep, I
you. Yeah,
appreciate that.
maybe
Thank
one
you,
day
buddy.
you can counter your dad with your own facts.
Okay, good. Excellent. Yeah, that's good, NY Jets FL. Thanks for joining. I'm just putting that in my story right now. I'm putting that in my notes. Reverse it. Okay. Uno reverse card. Oh, he's not going to have any idea. Oh, that's phenomenal. Great job, NY Jets FL. That's phenomenal. I just put that in my notes. Wow, that was the most active morning call-in show we've ever had during the week in the history of Boy Green Daily. It's been going on for like a year plus. So, guys, shout out to you. We will continue to open up the phone lines. I also don't think I've had the phone lines open the last couple of days. So we will continue to open that up for you guys. So keep it coming. We're over an hour on the show. I appreciate all of you. I've got to run to my radio show, so I got to peace out. But guys, whether you're watching live, real quick, there's 700 plus people in the room. If you're on YouTube, like the video, hit subscribe down below to keep this show rolling, baby. The more subscribers and likes on all these videos, it allows us to do even more stuff. So keep it coming, baby. Appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for Boy Green Daily. Plus, oh, wait, let me not forget, coming up at 3 o'clock for the first time ever, myself and Woody are doing a dueling live Jets 3-round mock draft with trades or whatever else. And then you at the end will pick who had the better Jets mock draft. So we'll both be doing our own on the side while you're both seeing us live on camera. It is myself, it is Woody. It's live at 3 o'clock. PFF Mock Draft Simulator, and then you guys will grade the draft live on the show at the end with our results. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So that's coming up in a couple of hours. I'll be live at my radio station, for that show. So hopefully you guys can check us out for that. Again, like the video, hit subscribe, and also consider joining, just like all these wonderful, handsome people, okay, and handsome and beautiful people, the Boy Green Superfan Club. Like John Sauer, who you see that little logo there, or Jared B, or what have you, for a small fee every month. You give a shout out, and also, of course, you help support the show. So feel free to do that for a small chunk of change every month. Again, the Boy Green Superfan Club on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.